Hello everyone, my name is Adrian and in this video I'm going to show you how to build yourselves a Templar healer that can handle any trial or dungeon currently in this game. I'm going to briefly show you what gear I have, how I've set up my champion points and what skills I have, in the idea that you already are an experienced healer. So my idea of this build was to have a full spell power cure set, because everybody loves that extra damage buff that only this set gives, as well as a full worm set to lower everyone's magicka cost. I had previously used the seducer set, which is great because it lowers your magicka cost for 8%, but since when I built this, spell power cure came only with armor items and jewelries are not craftable, I had to use the worm set to replace the seducer one, so I can keep having two complete sets on me. The disadvantage of the worm set over seducer is that it gives only 5% cost reduction instead of 8%, but the advantage is that it gives for everyone in the group, in an as large as 12 people group. This is great because lowering the cost of your teammates, especially during trials, is worth a lot. It means that they can fight a bit longer to get the job done. Okay, so let's get started. Like I've said, this build is made up of full spell power cure and full worm sets. On top of that, because we have one more armor piece available, I chose to put a Kenna item for that extra spell damage that gives us a bit more healing. So my gear looks like this. For spell power cure, I have chest, gloves, legs, feet, and head, 5 pieces. For a worm set I have a waist, all 3 jewelries, and the weapons, both restoration stuff and destruction stuff. And like I said, I also have one piece of Mola Kenna, because I want that extra spell damage. Back when I created this build, spell power cure dropped only with armor items. Nowadays it also drops weapons, jewelries, even shields, so your flexibility will be bigger than what I had back then. For enchantments, as you probably know, enchantments on armor is put according to how much stats you have, and those are influenced by how you set up your attribute points, what your playstyle is, etc. Personally, I like having close to 20k health, because I like being able to withstand more hits and not get one-shotted so easily. Anyway, I have health enchantments on the helmet, and the rest of the items I have them with magicka. For the jewelries, I have magicka recovery set on all 3 of them. And for restoration stuff, I have this enchantment that deals magic damage and restores magicka, because we will do quite a lot of heavy attacks to get our magicka back. And this helps us get even more magicka back. Now, like I said, for the jewelries I have put maximum magicka recovery increase. Usually I like putting a reduced cost of magicka, but for this particular build I've seen that I get out of magicka quite fast by having reduced cost. In this particular build I've seen that I really need to have magicka recovery more than reduced cost, so that's why these are like this. Now, looking at the stats, they are like this. First, I must say that I chose the Atronach Mundus Stone for increased magicka recovery, and I'm also a vampire for the very same reason. So, without food, I have close to 30k maximum magicka, 14k health, 2400 magicka recovery, 1700 spell damage without buff, and also I have pretty nice resistances, almost 22k spell resistance and 11k physical resistance. Now, if I also proc Spell Power Cure, I go up to 1975 spell damage, which of course means a bit more healing done. Now, I can use either this food or something similar, champion point 150 food that gives health and magicka. And if I use it, my stats will go up to 35.6k magicka and almost 20k health. Or I could use something new, which is called Witch Mother's Potent Brew. It's a new drink that came recently with a Halloween festival update, and it gives maximum magicka and health increase by almost 3200, magicka recovery by 300 for 2 hours. This is something I've seen, it's very, very nice. The downside is that it gives less health and magicka, but the advantage is that it really boosts our magicka recovery. So we will be able to heal a lot more by having almost 3000 magicka recovery. Health will stay around 17,500, which is okay, it's not a problem. It's quite low, honestly, for at least for my playstyle, but I can handle it. It's not a big problem. But this magicka recovery is quite insane, and if on top of that we drink a potion, magicka recovery goes up to 3300, which is really, really high. Keep in mind though that having this low health forces you to play a bit more defensive than usual, since you will be more likely to die from one-shotting or from those moments when you get immobilized, damaged, and maybe a damage over time is also applied to you. Like in this particular moment at the last boss of White Gold Tower hard mode. But of course there are ways to avoid dying, and there are ways to protect ourselves. Anyways, looking at the actual healing stats given by FTC, they look pretty nice. A normal Breath of Life heals for about 10k health. As we can see here, it's 10,502. Right? Now, if we manage to get a critical heal, it heals for about 17,000 health, almost 18,000. Let's see if I can proc Spell Power Cure. Yeah. With Spell Power Cure, it says I critically healed myself with Breath of Life for 22,700 health. That's quite a lot. So basically, with only one Breath of Life, you can bring up to something like 60% of someone's life, or even you can heal him completely if you manage to have a critical Breath of Life. Now, looking at the skills that we use, I have 2 bars. One bar with restoration stuff, the other bar with destruction stuff. Obviously, the restoration stuff one is the main bar to use. The destruction stuff bar has some skills that provide support. The main bar has Repentance, Ritual of Retribution, Healing Springs, Combat Prayer, Breath of Life, and Aggressive Horn as ultimate. The second bar, that's used for support, has Retreating Maneuver, Luminous Shards, Elemental Drain, Mystic Orb, Breath of Life again, and Solar Disturbance for the ultimate. Now, going again through them to show you from where you can get them. Repentance is from class Restoring Light, 3rd skill. Ritual of Retribution is also here from 4th skill. Healing Springs is from Weapon Restoration Staff, 1st skill. Combat Prayer is 3rd skill, also from Restoration Staff. Breath of Life is 1st skill from class Restoring Light. And the Ultimate Aggressive Horn is from Alliance War Assault. Now, for the second bar, we have, like I said, Retreating Maneuver, which is also from Alliance War Assault. Luminous Shards from class Edric Spear, 4th skill. Elemental Drain from Weapon Destruction Staff, 4th skill. Mystic Orb from Guild Undaunted, last skill. Breath of Life again, from class Restoring Light. And Solar Disturbance as ultimate from class Dawn's Wrath. Now, let's go shortly through the champion point distribution. As you know, the green constellations influence our resources, like regeneration and cost of resources. I prefer having 100 points in the tower in Magician to reduce Magicka cost of spells, and the rest of 87 so far in the Lover Arcanist to increase Magicka recovery. The blue constellations affect how effective we are in healing, and here I have 100 in Apprentice Blessed, increases the effectiveness of healing done, and the rest of 87 on Elfborn to increase healing dealt by spell criticals. The red constellations affect how much protection we can put on ourselves against magic damage or physical damage, and I prefer having them like this. In the Steed, in Spell Shield, I have 70 points. In the Lady, I have 35 points on Light Armor Focus, 25 on Hardy, 32 on Elemental Defender, and 25 on Thick-Skinned. And that's it. It's a pretty simple distribution. Thanks a lot for watching this build guide. I hope it was useful, and I hope you will enjoy healing dungeons and trials in ESO.